Right, so can you see that?
Yes, it's all visible, yeah.
Right, so this is the community coaching in the community using a multi-student supervision in the midwifery field. This was developed as a pilot in our Copeland community office out at West Cumbria. It's a small rural team, and basically what we found is that we're really having struggles with our community capacity. That moved on, yep. So why did we decide to use it, coaching in the community? So it's about empowering the student, giving them the opportunity to learn rather than us teaching them. So it's that facilitation of learning. It's about the educator stepping back and letting the learner take a lead. Looking at individuals and how they can maximize their performance. And also looking at our workforce, and we weren't able to sustain capacity due to staff and vacancies. So coaching was a way of maintaining capacity on a multi-student model whilst being able to support the staff as well, because we were getting educator fatigue. So what the model looked like was 2 students going out with 1 midwife, and the students were reflecting together, talking together, discussing cases. One student would go in the house, do the visit with the midwife, while the other student prepared for the next visit, and they would debrief and reflect. We had a lot of conversations while setting this model up how it would work, but certainly it was looking at what proficiencies each learner needed to achieve and make sure that the visits where they would achieve certain proficiencies were allocated to them, and the students were very good at sort of discussing and sharing those opportunities out between themselves. But with this model, it made the midwives be more job ready. So it was giving them the opportunity to do the job. Like I say, this isn't a new model. It has been used on antenatal and postnatal wards, but we hadn't found another example from a community setting. So it was really exciting to be able to put this into place. So it was a oh, sorry, I've gone too far. A collaborative approach. The coaches were all informed. There was a lot of education before the model was set up as to how it would work, what it would look like, and all members of the team were involved in that sort of teaching session and information session. So everybody was fully on board and engaged. PEF team were around during the coaching model once we first put it in. Jess based herself with the team and actually went out at times with the learners herself as part of this model. And the university was informed, and we worked collaboratively with the university just to make sure that we weren't putting any students at risk. They were all achieving what they needed to, and they were getting a really beneficial experience. The next slide showed how it worked in practice. So there would be a morning huddle where the midwife would meet with the students, discuss the workload and prioritise the learning based on student outcomes that needed to be achieved, making sure there was an equitable allocation of learning by the midwife. There was also time to go over any MORA proficiencies, care records that needed to be signed from the day before. They would go out on the visits and then would have a check-in. So at lunchtime, check-in. How is the workload going? What's been achieved? Are the learning opportunities being met? And do we need to adjust anything? Is this working for everybody? And then at the end of the day, there was a chance for feedback and for discussion over how the day had gone, and also an opportunity for the students to complete the MORA for the following day. There was regular feedback sessions and clinical supervision. They were supervised by the PEF. And in the final week, evaluations were reviewed, and the students on the programme had expressed that they had had a really good experience. They found that having the peer support was really beneficial. And yeah, so Sophie, have you got anything that you want to add?
No, not really. Just like that you said, that the learners, you know, they found it really, really useful in terms of learning from each other as well. Was one of the key feedback points. Was they were obviously able to observe each other's practice more than they usually would have done, which gave them some opportunities to gain different skills and to see different ways of doing things as well. And they sort of gained a lot of confidence from each other, which we don't often get a lot of opportunity to do sometimes. It was quite interesting because we piloted it with apprentices, some apprentices and some not apprentices together, and that sort of mix of learners was quite interesting, and something we might possibly look to change that in the future to see, but you know, overall it worked really well, didn't it, Gemma?
Yeah, and I think kind of one of the benefits was as well for the staff in the team that actually saw how much the students were progressing and developing. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we chose this team because they were having some staffing issues. But actually, towards the end of the pilot, when staff had returned from short-term sicknesses, we were able to actually increase our capacity within the team by 2, which was really good. So it's just the challenge moving on from pilots is sustainability and continuity, but that's something that we are working on at the moment. The next slide's just some links to some information. And is there any questions?
Ricky?
Just to say thanks, Gemma. That's great to hear about the work you've been doing or you've been involved in. I particularly like your use of multi-student supervision, because the term